Hello again, I'm Doug Smith, host of Portsmouth This Week, the voice of Portsmouth Town Hall. Our topic today is financial literacy, and our guests are Tom Kenfield, the Assistant Superintendent of Schools in Portsmouth. Welcome back, Tom.
Thank you, Doug.
And also Jeff Rose, who's the High School Math Department Chair. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
First, I think we should start with a general explanation of what is financial literacy and how does it connect with the curriculum?
Sure. So financial literacy is just teaching students the skills that they're going to need to be successful in life no matter what they do. So whatever they do after high school, whether it's going right into the workforce or college, and eventually securing a career and wanting to kind of live on their own, start a family, everything, just the basic skills from checking savings accounts, how much money can you expect to be taken out for taxes, what's a typical car payment, those kind of things, how credit cards work, what happens when you actually run up those charges. So it's just kind of trying to get students as much of that information as we can while they're still in high school and before they've gotten down the road of making some bad decisions that it's too far to turn back from.
Yeah, I've been to a couple of these, I'll mention in a minute, but I think they're great. Can you describe what a financial literacy fair is?
Sure. So we've been fortunate to partner with Bank Newport. We'll explain a little more about what's going to happen and take place, but they've been doing a financial literacy series with our high school juniors at Portsmouth High School over the past year, and then this all culminates with they call it a financial literacy fair, and so they're going to have students are going to come in that day, be given a budget and money to work from, and then have to make certain decisions of the things they're going to need, or events may come up that will require them to pay money and kind of shrink their budget, and they'll have to make decisions from there. So it's as much as possible trying to give them a simulation where they can apply some of the information that they've learned.
Yeah. Now, I guess there's some assumptions going into this thing. It is a simulation.
Mm-hmm.
So some of the assumptions, are they still considered to be, okay, you're now 25, you're out of your house, or is that kind of understood?
So I don't know if a certain age came up, but yeah, it's definitely like they're on their own.
You're kind of putting them in a different time thing, so it's...
Right, we've advanced them to the median salary in their career, so we're assuming that they've been in their position for a few years and they're ready to be on their own. They're looking into whether they're going to purchase a house or rent, what kind of a car they're going to have, what that insurance payment is going to look like. So we're not assuming that this is immediately out of college, but that they've gotten their feet underneath them and they're on their own at this point.
Yeah, and the way they've done this, the ones I've been to, they set up booths around, like in this case, it'll be the gym.
Sure.
And they're manned by different businesses and the banks and other things like that. And the kids go around and have to make decisions on some of this stuff. And I think a lot of the ones I went to, at least, the students were saying, "Oh my God, I didn't know how much. I wonder what my parents are paying for the mortgage," because nobody talks about this stuff. Right. And all of a sudden, the kids are talking about it. My favorite booth was the one called Chance, and all it was one of those big round wheel things, like a spin the wheel, and it had things like, okay, you fell and broke your leg, you're out of work, blah blah blah, or you won the lottery, here's $5,000. It's just plus or minus things. But it was always fun to watch these kids. Like one guy was. It came up that his car was trashed, and he had to buy a new car and all this. And he says, he was so, how could that happen? I mean, I was just, I just got this car. But it does, accidents happen like that,
Right.
And Bank Newport, what is their role in this, and how do they help? I mean, they're a big part of it.
Sure. So Bank Newport's been a great partner in this. This is all them. As far as helping us put together the series and the financial literacy fair. So it's something they've been doing for a number of years. They've been working with other high schools, a few other high schools in Rhode Island. Last year, you and I had the chance to go to Rogers High School and see this in action, and it just solidified for me, okay, this is something we need to try to bring to Portsmouth. So they cover the full cost of everything with the series and the program. So it's just great to have them involved in this.
I think it's great for the kids, because how would you have liked when you were in high school a chance to look at, say, 10 years ahead,
Right.
and try to plan it out and see what happens, as you go along, and see what the realities are.
Yeah.
I think it's a great opportunity. Where is this going to be held and when?
So this will be held in the new gym on April 27th. Juniors will attend either in the morning session or the late morning session. We have too many kids to go through all at once, so we wanted them to really enjoy and get the fullness of the experience, so we wanted to separate them into two groups on the 27th.
Okay, now, is everybody in the high school going through this, or is it just juniors or seniors, or how?
Sure, so we decided that we were going to do this for just our juniors. We didn't want the
Juniors,
seniors
okay.
involved because of the senior project, and this time of year they're getting ready for their senior project, their AP
Sure.
tests, so we thought that it would be best for our juniors to go through this and get this experience at that year.
Okay, essentially, so juniors will be doing this, and they'll be doing it during class periods, class times.
Correct, so they'll be doing it either our first or second period of the day.
Okay, great. Bank Newport, I guess, take care of setting a lot of this up. I think they did the one at Rogers.
They did,
we
yeah.
went to
That's
last year.
from there. I kind of followed through with the connections that we were able to make that day. Yeah, they do a few other. I believe they do Coventry, West Warwick as well, and maybe one or two other high schools. So
Yeah.
it's a fantastic.
They deserve
program.
kudos for this. It's also the kind of things that I would think that local businesses and other organizations like the Portsmouth Business Association would want to
Right.
support, because this relates to business down the road. I mean,
Absolutely, and they will have businesses there manning some of the booths. Bank Newport kind of takes the lead on establishing those connections. But I know that they do try, in the communities that they're in, they do try to include as many local businesses as possible. And this is our first year,
Yeah,
so
first year,
we'll
sure.
look for ways that we can hopefully expand and improve upon it in future years. Maybe pull in some more businesses if I happen to kind of notice that some of the key ones are missing.
now, there's a lot of prep involved before the kids go into this. Could you talk about that a little bit?
Sure, so the students have gone through 5 sessions of literacy training, and they've covered topics from checking accounts, savings accounts, to retirement, credit cards, and then the last one they learned how to find a career, get their budget, and set up the whole process of the fair. We've done it over the course of the entire year, so there's been some time in between the sessions. And Bank Newport's been awesome. They've forwarded me all their own curriculum. This is all stuff that they've generated, and it's all really well done. The presenters are very well versed in what they're saying to the kids, and the kids get a lot out of it.
Yeah, and this is the first year we're doing it here.
Right.
I spoke to a couple of the people that were putting on the ones in both Rogers and Durfee a couple of years ago. And they said initially it started out with one teacher. And then once people saw what it was like and what it did, everybody wanted to help. And,
Right.
and so with any luck, next year's will be even bigger and better and have more stuff. And
Yeah, I think so. I think once people see it and actually see what's involved and what the students are able to get out of it, it'll just grow from there.
yeah. Now, is there any connection with the things you're talking about financial literacy and the actual courses that they're taking, like math or something?
Sure.
I mean,
So in the math department, we offer 2 financial classes. We offer a financial algebra and then an advanced financial algebra as well. This course this program is completely separate from it. They do cover some of the same topics, but we want to make sure that all of our students got the opportunity to have some kind of financial education.
Yeah.
So although not all students can fit either of those 2 elective classes that we offer in the math department into their schedule, all juniors have the opportunity to take this, and then moving forward, all of our high school students will eventually go through this program.
okay, so it's not required. It's
So it is. So in the fall, the school committee actually we had to revise our graduation requirements. So that's eventually makes its way into policy. So which is ultimately a school committee approved policy. So based on some changes that came down from the state level. So right now, financial literacy, it's not a state requirement necessarily, but it's a very strong suggestion that we cover it somehow. So like Jeff said, we had been hitting on it in different areas with courses and elective students could take. But in the fall, when we had to revise some other things in our graduation policy, the school committee did include financial literacy. So it is a Portsmouth requirement now moving forward. So. And it just happened that
Okay,
we
so,
had this
yeah, you're in
relationship
transition
established,
year
right,
here, yeah.
with this opportunity with Bank Newport. But our policy now reads that all students will have to have a financial literacy experience before they graduate.
yeah. One of the things that struck me at the Rogers Fair was it seems to me this would be an ideal thing to do a island-wide
Sure.
thing somewhere. It would certainly make life easier for
Sure.
Bank Newport, perhaps. Because then they could talk to kids outside of their comfort level, other kids from other
Right.
schools.
Yeah, I think if we can get there at some point, would be a lot involved there logistically. As Jeff said, even for us trying to figure out how to get all of our 200 juniors in there on that one day.
Yeah,
was
no,
quite
I know the
undertaking.
logistics
So,
might
right,
be
yeah.
interesting.
But yeah,
But
never know.
down the road it might make sense. That's
Sure.
the one thing I could see consolidating on the
Right.
island. It might work.
Sure.
How are the students taking this so far? I mean, how do they react so far in the classroom to this?
So there are some students who, oh man, I have to lose my learning center to get this. But I think when they finally got in there and they realized the information that they were receiving was so valuable, and it was presented in a way that was so professional, they're really appreciating what's going on in there, and they're really appreciating that time.
Yeah.
It's only half of their learning center, so they're spending about 45 minutes each session, and they're getting a lot of really useful information. So.
Now, what is the learning center, like a study hall or something?
Sort of. So yeah, there are periods where students have without a structure.
Unstructured.
It's
We try to structure it as much as we can, but there's some choice of things students can do. This is certainly been a focus for junior year. Juniors also, though, are getting ready. Just last week they took the SAT, so we did some SAT prep during that time. So depending on the year that students have, we'll try to fit in some other things. And again, when we were looking for where this made the most sense for us, we tried this. I think when we were at Rogers, they had targeted seniors, but we thought with everything else going on senior year, we would try to target juniors. Maybe down the road we decide that another grade is where it fit best, but it's helpful for us to have when Bank Newport comes in, they're able to do it during that learning center time, so we're also not taking away from other class time.
Right. I'm sure that would be an issue because I realize the teachers are under the gun to try to
Right.
cram as much as they can into this short period of time. Just out of curiosity, did you talk at all to the other schools about, just ideas for how to?
Yeah, so I talked when I was at Rogers last year. That was one of the main reasons that I went down there. So I was able to talk to some people there.
And the other thing I'd suggest is that at some point afterwards you get feedback from the students on how to do it better next time or something, and then keep doing that every year.
Right.
I'll tell you, I think it's going to be one of the most, in my view, one of the most popular things that you're doing there. So keep my fingers crossed that this one really works.
Yeah, I agree. I think like Jeff said, the series, the 5 different times, students probably had other things going on, but and they saw it as maybe taking them away from some of those other things. But I think that when they get to experience the fair, that's when it'll all kind of come together.
Now, do you guys talk about credit scores or at all in this thing, in this financial?
I believe it was discussed in one of the sessions. Yeah.
Because that whole thing would be alien to me if I was a kid.
Yeah.
But you see all these ads on TV. Check your
Right.
credit score. What is the credit score? What does that mean?
Right.
There's a lot of things that people need to learn to survive, and it's changing all the time. That's another thing.
Right.
One of the things that I would have thought that would change eventually is the use of devices and cell phones and social media and all that stuff, and how those might be integrated somehow into a financial literacy program. Just a thought down the road.
Yeah.
But
Well, it's certainly, our whole entire curriculum in every area is starting to incorporate more and more of that blended learning structure. So I'm sure that'll follow as well.
Now, since this is the first time I realize, I just wonder, have parents been involved in any of this planning or any?
Not so much the planning itself mostly has been, Jeff has been the main lead at the high school. We've had meetings throughout the year with Bank Newport representatives. I think parents certainly are aware through information that the school has sent out.
Okay.
And then hopefully, again, they're able to have follow-up conversations, maybe even already based on what students are learning in those financial literacy series components. Their students are asking questions that they wouldn't have been before. So there's certainly a lot of opportunity for parents to follow up at home with further discussions, and maybe again once the fair happens, it'll spark even more conversations from the students.
I spent a lot of time in the Navy, and one of my jobs was working at the Wargaming Center down in Newport. And I can tell you that it's one of the best experiences that people can go through for almost any kind of situation. And you know, I know you guys are doing a lot about security and safety and all that stuff, but it would seem to me that just like this is a simulation for life at 25,
Right.
Something like that would lend itself to a simulation of some sort. You sit down with just the key players and kind of talk it through. And you have an outside group throwing in little zingers. This is what happens. This is what happens. But I think the students will get a totally different view of some of these things that they probably didn't realize were going to be driving their life in the future. I mean, it revolves around money. We're a capitalist society, so
Right.
you got to figure out how to handle it, how to use it.
Like I said, I mean, financial literacy, it's a very strong suggestion from the state level that this is something we should either be incorporating into courses that already exist, which we have different areas where we've tried that, or some other experience like this, through this partnership with Bank Newport, and now, like I said, it is now a graduation requirement in Portsmouth going forward. So.
Yeah. Tim, how has the response been or the support been from the rest of the faculty?
So the faculty has been really great about getting their students there. They're all really interested in it. Mike Morrow, one of our history teachers, he's really, every time I see him in the hallway, he gives me a pat on the back. Jeff, what you're doing is great for our kids. They all need it. So, they see the need for this for our students, and they're excited that we as a school district decided to implement something with Bank Newport to make this available to all of our juniors. So they're excited for it, and I think with the actual culminating fair coming up just around the corner, I think the buzz is going to get even bigger. When they see all the signage for Bank Newport and all the vendors coming in, I think it's going to be a really exciting day at Portsmouth, and I think people are going to, that might have been skeptical of the whole situation in the beginning, I think are going to be turned on to it, and I think next year it'll only grow and only get bigger.
That's what I think too. I wonder if we could kind of walk through what one of these things looks like and what it's going to look like at your financial literacy fair. You got the gym. You're going to have tables, I assume. Can you just describe how it's going to work for?
So I think we're going to have the students into two groups. So when they come in, there's an orientation session first. I think students have been given a budget. Maybe Jeff can expand a little more on that already, based on the career that they kind of see themselves in. So all of that, there'll be kind of like an orientation from the Bank Newport representatives leading it, and then the booths set up with where they have to go around, and they need to buy a car, cable, other utilities, that kind of thing.
Food.
Right, food, yeah. All the necessities that, again, right now, some of these things are maybe just happening for them and they don't realize everything that goes into it. And then there's the wheel of chance that you had referred to, where they'll have to go through that one time, and some event is going to happen to them that they didn't anticipate that's going to have financial implications.
Yeah, I remember one young guy at one of the ones, I may have been the Durfee fair. The guy he had a choice of cars, right? It starts out, here's one for $2,000, here's one for $30,000. Of course, he picks the $30,000 car. And then he finds, in between, I guess, they go to the bank booths.
Yeah.
And the guy says, there's no way you could afford this car. You wouldn't even be able to apply for a loan for this amount. The guy, what? No kidding, really. So I assume that there is at least one bank booth that's set up that these guys check in with periodically?
So my understanding is that they'll be checking in with the credit counseling station.
Credit counseling station, yeah.
They'll be checking to verify that everything that they want to happen they would be approved for, or they would hit that reality check. What do you mean I can't get the car I want? So they'll be going and see the credit counselors to determine whether or not it's going to work for them.
Yeah, that's why I think this thing is going to be fun for everybody involved.
Right.
And it'd be interesting at some point, after the first 2 or 3 of these guys that you to do a video or something. As I say, there are a couple things online, a couple videos that show you segments of what these things look like from Massachusetts anyway. And
I know we've invited all of the local school committee, town officials, the governor, and Bank Newport sends out all these invites to the governor, the general treasurer, so anybody who can fit it into their schedule, I'm sure will be there that time.
Yeah, we had Nellie Gorbea, Secretary of State, on last week, and it's too bad I didn't know about it, because I would have invited
Right.
her to this.
Yeah,
thing.
I'm sure she'll get the invite, but as you can imagine, their schedules. I'm sure.
Oh,
will
yeah,
have
I
to-
understand that, but
have to
this
have
would
some
kind of be a good
trade-offs.
way to press the flesh, and meet
Right.
people, in a place like Portsmouth, which is pretty far out of their purview, at least their mind sight,
Right.
and also see what the kids are doing. It's tough. I mean, things are changing. Things have changed so much in our lifetime, Tom, and yours is just beginning, so you're right on the cutting edge of all this stuff. But it's only going to keep changing.
Right.
And I think anything we can do in the schools to try to keep ahead of that curve, or
Sure.
at least be looking in the right direction, and give our kids the basic tools they need to do this
Yeah.
stuff.
And I mean, these are things. I mean, no matter what, again, whether somebody's going to go right into the workforce after high school, college, but probably have to have some sort of job to help,
Yeah.
help meet expenses, and then obviously, everybody moving on, further down the line into a career. This is one thing that applies to everybody across
Yeah.
the board.
Now, I don't recall seeing at any of these fairs, or maybe there was like a college place where kids could go to continue their education. But I think it'd be interesting because the cost
right.
of that,
Oh,
Yeah,
it's-
yeah.
most kids don't realize.
Right, and then, almost every career now involves some sort of continuing education. So I'm not sure if they mix that in, but
Yeah.
again, we can see how it goes this
Now,
first
Tim,
year.
have you been to one of these before?
So I have not. No, I've never
Oh,
been to
okay.
one. So I'm excited to see it in action
Yeah.
for the first time this year. I think it's going to be great. I think our kids are going to love it. I think they're going to get a lot out of it. So,
Yeah.
Bank Newport has been phenomenal all the way through. So my expectations are going to be pretty high for this fair because they've been great all the way through.
Yeah.
Yeah, the various employees in their departments are the ones who come in and, for the 5 different segments that we
Okay,
have
so
throughout
they'll
the
be
year.
seeing it and see how
Right.
it works.
So,
And presumably in the classroom, they'll hear about
right.
different things about
Yeah,
it.
and then if you think, that's just here, and they do it in multiple locations across the state, so they invest a lot of their time and resources into this.
Yeah. I wonder if the Bank Newport is connecting up with our Portsmouth Business Association. I think they are, because the current president may even be part of Bank Newport. I don't know.
Right, I'm assuming they are. Again, that's kind of thing I can get a sense of
Yeah.
if I notice there are some key players who maybe are missing from the equation this year, then that's something we can,
Well,
definitely
and I
improve
think if
upon.
any of their reps would see this thing, and see how beneficial it is for everybody,
Sure.
and it would be nice to have a organized group in Portsmouth supporting all this.
Right.
You know,
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons we wanted to come on today. We're a couple of weeks out still, a little bit in advance, so maybe there'll be some people who get word of it through
Yeah.
this segment who
hopefully, and you guys are going to go to the press and other stuff, I guess,
we will.
which this is going on during the school day. So a lot of people, you really can't go and observe it because it's part of a class.
Yeah, it does, it's limiting in that way, but it's obviously the best time for us to do it to make sure we have maximum participation from
Yeah.
our students.
This is really great, and I think also these are juniors. You might tap into the juniors for next year when they're seniors, to help out or whatever. Put them on your group that plans this thing,
Right.
maybe something like that. Because kids always have ideas that we don't even think of,
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, we'll definitely do some follow-up with juniors after this and see what kind of suggestions they have for how we
Yeah.
can improve it.
I'm just really bummed that I'm not going to be able to make it. I'd love to have, would
I
have
know,
loved to
you've
go to this
been-
one.
Through
Well,
the years, this has been a
I
constant
know,
drum you've
and
been beating. So
the timing's terrible, I
We've
know.
been listening.
Yeah, well, that's great. No, and as I say, what was it, 4 years ago, whenever Anna came here
Yeah.
first?
Yeah,
And we've been talking about that just about every time somebody comes on.
yeah, no, and we definitely, I mean, we absolutely, I don't think, across the board in the school department at the high school, everybody has
Yeah.
realized the importance of this. We've just been looking for the best ways to fit it in, and then the Bank Newport opportunity has come along. So we're
And I would
very
hope the
appreciative.
school board would be very much on board
They
with
are
this thing, too.
absolutely, like I said, and then they went that next step of making it a graduation requirement in Portsmouth, so they get it as well.
Yeah, good. Well, like I say, I think it's a great thing, and I'm sure your students will get a lot out of it. And I'd love to hear about some of the feedback that you get. Maybe I'll talk to you guys. In fact,
Sure.
later on, I think what I'd like to do is invite you guys back,
Sure.
to tell us how it went
Sure.
Yeah.
and talk about plans for the next time,
Yeah.
maybe. Is there any other part of this that we haven't touched?
So I think one thing that we haven't mentioned that's really, I think, empowering for the juniors is that they were able to choose a career that they want to be a part of. So we did some research with the Bank of Newport representatives about what is the median salary for that career. We went through and talked about taxes. How much are you going to get taken out of your paycheck for your federal income tax, your state income tax, your Medicare? So they've already started to build that budget, and it's unique to each student. So everybody's walking into that fair with a different budget because everybody's going to have a different career. Everybody's life is going to look a little bit different. So we've given students the choice in that to choose the career that they think that they're actually interested in. And I think the students have really taken that and run with it. As I'm going through those careers, you're not just seeing, everybody's deciding to be a surgeon, so everybody's going to have this massive budget, but they're choosing careers that they're actually interested in, and I think it's going to be a real and applicable time for them to see, what is it going to look like?
Yeah. Now, there's no booth or anything for marriage or anything, right? But that's got to be something that.
Those are the decisions they'll have to make on their own.
Yeah, no, I know.
Definitely factors in. Absolutely.
Yeah, well, especially with things like housing and
right.
Just about everything else.
Yeah.
Especially once you get kids. I think this is a great move, and I applaud you guys for doing this, and I applaud the Portsmouth School Board for getting behind this thing, because I think it's a long time coming. And Jeff, I'd like to wish you the best of luck, but I think it's going to be great, and I'll be there in spirit.
We know you will.
And hopefully somebody will, afterwards, I'll hear about how it went.
Yeah, we'll definitely let you know. And
We'll have to get our TV production people in there and try and get some video and some pictures. So
that'd be great.
We'll be able to present, how great it was and what the experience looked like for those students.
Sure.
Yeah, and thank you for. This is, like I said, been something.
No, believe me, this is just something I saw that I felt like we really needed.
You've been asking every time I see you.
Yeah.
So
we've been talking about it for a bit.
You get it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, as I say, I'd like to welcome you guys to come back.
Okay.
Tell us how it is and enjoy the financial literacy fair. I can't wait for some of these kids their eyes are going to open and say, "Oh my God, I have to think about that."
Yeah.
So good luck with it.
Thank you.
And as I say, I hope to see you when you come back.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And that's it for me, Doug Smith. We'll see you again next week. Hi, this is Doug Smith. I'd just like to remind everybody that the Portsmouth Historical Society will be presenting a lecture by town historian Jim Garman at the Common Fence Point Community Hall on Wednesday, the 25th of April at 7 o'clock in the evening. Admission's free, and I invite everybody in Portsmouth to come on down and enjoy this presentation. Jim Garman's got a lot of old photographs of the town, and I think you'll learn a lot by seeing what Portsmouth looked like in 1918. Again, come on down and join us at the Common Fence Point Community Hall. And thank you very much.
Hello, my name's Matthew McCoy, and I'm a commissioner with the Rhode Island World War I Centennial Commission. I would like to invite you to attend the rededication ceremony of the Tanaami Memorial Tower and help us commemorate the service and sacrifice of the 56 men from Newport who gave their lives during America's participation in the Great War.